Don't come near me, pig fucker. Why do you have so many scars? Who hurt you so badly?
Don't hardly remember, ma'am.
What's your name?
John Coffey, ma'am. Like to drink. Only not spelled the same. Ma'am.
Yes, John Coffey.
I see it. I see it.
What happened?
Shh, you be still now. You be so quiet, so still.
Shalom, all praise, glory, honor, and fear Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakadash. Belongs to elders that came before us. Salutations to election, the warriors, the house of David, still fighting on and still helping cure our nation of the plague, of the sickness, of the demons, and casting out devils. Because that's what the truth is all about. That's why the Lord set up his men in times past and also now to build up, to edify, right, and also to pull down and root out. So it's a balance with that. And just like in that movie Green Mile, it's really heavy because I made this point. I can't, what Yahushua did with the example he gave us was that he took upon himself all the nation of Israel's sins. He took out all that sin, all that death, and he conquered it. And he healed our people by the word and by his spirit, and by his wounds, by his stripes, we're healed. So the Lord basically took up on all those torments so that we would have life more abundantly. And that's the main thing you have to be mindful of every time you take a breath, every time you wake up, every time you sit down to eat or drink something. You always have to keep that. Because the scripture in Corinthians, for we eat and drink of this truth and of the life of the Lord for as long until he comes back in remembrance of him. For we eat of this bread and of this wine in remembrance of him, you see. And when you go to Luke 22, and it just shows you how, what shows you is that this truth and this ministry, this work is very selfless, and it's not even really about us. Like I was talking to the brother after camp, and really we're not even in control of our own lives. Like the Lord, he's just using us, just as you might use a car, or you might just use a whatever the case may be. He's using us though, because he sees that we're able to be used. We have the mind frame of Yahushai, and that's why we're vessels fitted unto sanctification, that he's able to speak through us. Because a lot of guys in this truth and all these camps, Yahushai is not really speaking through them. That's why they're not reproving and bringing out Matthew 23 and certain scriptures and precepts and chapters. They're actually staying away from it, because that shows that guys really stay away from Yahushai. They frown away from the straight gate. You see? And even Yahushai, he didn't really want to go on the cross and suffer all that torment and pain, but at the end of the day, the Father, he is in command. He's in control of all things, the Father of spirits. And Yahushua had to go through that. You see? Luke 22 and verse 42. Luke 22 and verse 40. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that ye enter not into temptation. And temptation, right, which we're basically in the hour of temptation, the hour of the true worshipers worshiping the Lord. And also a time of the hour of temptation, which could try all flesh. And all those that walk and follow after the flesh, to please the flesh, to make their persons on the outside look better. Now the word temptation is an internal temptation to sin, of the temptation by which the devil sought to divert Yahushua, the Messiah, from his divine errand. So we have a very divine errand, which something that's divine is something that's godly, excellent. Whoo! And we went into that. I went into that in a couple of videos, man. I can't. In a video before that, going into the word excellent, which goes into weightier. Excellent goes into valuable, rare. You see, that's what excellent goes into. All right, temptation, right? Of the condition of things, or a mental state by which we are enticed to sin, or to a lapse from the faith and holiness. So a lot of guys, they've actually turned from the faith. See, failure. That word lapse is a failure, decline, a temporary failure of concentration, memory, or judgment. You see? It's heavy, man. So, also says rebellion against God, by which his power and justice are, as it were, put to the proof and challenged to show themselves. See, so keep reading verse 41. Says, and he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. So there were certain people that were sick, that were lame, that were blind, that were lepers. And it wasn't even Yahushua's will that he was going to heal them. It was actually the Father's will to heal them. And that's why he sent them Yahushua. That's why they approached Yahushua and touched him on the garment. That's why Yahushua, came and, visited them, you see? Because man's going on of the Lord. It says, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him, you see? So we might not want to go through the tough things that, we might have to go through in the near future, but the Lord's going to strengthen us through it to do his will, not our own. And even Yahushua, he wanted him to remove the cup, but that was the only way for the eternal kingdom to come to pass. And it didn't happen right away, but now it's about to come. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. You see, so Yahushua was very zealous. He was very heavy in the spirit. And this was before he was even getting whipped and punched. He was just praying, man. He was in agony. Sweat was as it were great drops of blood. You see? So let me get that word for agony.
Strong's G74, agonia.
Wow, and it says a struggle for victory. And that's what we're struggling for. We're struggling for that victory over the beast, his image, and his mark. And it's a struggle, everyday struggle. It says wrestling of severe mental struggles and emotions, agony, anguish. So when you had certain wicked, corrupted elders in this truth saying, oh, you guys are over emotional, that's just because they don't have a heart, man. It's because their heart is not in this truth. And that's another point I want to make as well, is because in this truth, not every elder is an elder. And you have some younger brothers, and in all reality, forget age, they're in the stead of an elder. You see? Because the Lord's dealing with the ancient men. And that's why the only sign that's going to be given is Jonah, which also, according to Jonah, which was similar to Yahushai. Yahushai said, what? Remove the cup from him. And what did Jonah say? He tried to leave. He didn't even want to face Nineveh and prophesy against it. You see? But right, the Father's will was done. The true prophets could not escape it. They had to face it. You see? Jonah 1:1. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it. And what are we doing now? We're crying against this great city, against this great kingdom, Babylon, the great, America, great again, right? For their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah arose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa. And that's another point I want to make too, is like, don't be so quick to call a man out. You know what I'm saying? Look at Paul. It's not over till it's over, man. And a lot of guys, they might condemn and come against men, like, oh yeah, he's wicked, he's doing this, he's doing that, not knowing that what situation he's going through is only to cause him to make him stronger and make him able to fulfill the will of the Lord and do what the Lord commanded him to do. Strive for the truth unto death. You see? It says, so he paid the fare thereof and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. And when you go into Psalms, David even said, all right, in Psalms 139, right, it says in verse 7, it says, whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? See, the Lord's everything and everywhere and in all things. It says, if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. You see, because what happened with hell? Hell is a sick position in the earth, going through a struggle and affliction, pain. So Yahushai, he swallowed up hell, he swallowed up death and victory. That's what Yahushai did. He took on all that pain, all that suffering, all that sin upon himself, sis. That's why I told, when he was healing people, he said, what? Go and take up thy bed and walk. Walk where? Walk in the word. Walk in the light. Walk while you have light. Walk in the strength. It says, if I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. You see? Now going back to Jonah 1 and verse 2. This is Jonah chapter 2. Because see, the thing with Jonah, and just like Yahushai, they were very close to death. They were basically right facing death. Jonah was in the belly of the fish, right? It was dark, it was nasty, right? And it showed how basically it humbled Jonah, humiliated him, and chastened him sore, but not unto death. But the Lord showed how upset he was that he fled. So it made him stronger. It made him realize what he needed to do. It says Jonah 2:1. Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. For thou hast cast me into the deep. You see, you guys saying, oh, don't get deep, that too deep demon. This is what the truth requires of you, man. It's for you to get deep. You see? The Lord's going to cast you into deep. It says, and in the midst of the seas and the floods compassed me about, all thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again toward thy holy temple. You see? And that's what we're doing, man. All right, Luke 11:29 says, I'll start verse 28. It says, but he said, yeah, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of God and keep it. And when you go into that word, keep it, which we'll get real quick, that word keep.
Strong's G 5442. Strong's G 5442. Phulasso.
All right, the word keep is to guard, keep watch. You see, so those are actually watching over the sheep, that are watching the wolves and warning the sheep and rebuking and sound the trumpet and warning every man. It says to have an eye upon, to guard a personal thing that he may remain safe. It says, lest he suffer violence, be despoiled, right, to protect. So we're defending the gospel. We're protecting the Lord and his sheep, his believers. To protect one from a person or a thing. To keep from being snatched away, preserved safe and unimpaired. To guard from being lost or perishing. You see? So that's who's really blessed. And what we're doing is that we're keeping, right, this word pure, right, and in its original form, which a lot of guys are not doing. Even elders. And that's one other point I want to make, is because this is the only sign that's going to be given to this wicked, faithless generation. It is a sign of the prophet Jonah. Men of the Lord that they don't really necessarily want to do something because it's not going to feel good. They're not going to get liked for it. They're not going to get a reward for it. But they're going to get hated. They might even have to face death and incarceration or being cast out of camp, which we've been done. So that's the only sign that was given to this wicked generation of our nation, man, and of this world, of what has just happened. Luke 11:29. And when the people were gathered thick together, he began to say, this is an evil generation. They seek a sign, and there shall no sign be given it, but the sign of Jonas the prophet. You see, and he was humbled, he was chastened, sore, almost even unto death. You couldn't see him because he was under the ocean in a fish. You thought he was dead. But see, the Lord revived and strengthened Jonah, right? He refreshed him. And then what? He came hard, man, and he prophesied. He did what the Lord wanted him to do. And then when the Lord didn't destroy Nineveh right away, he was so zealous, he was upset. You see? For as Jonas was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall also the Son of Man be to this generation. You see, the Yahushai. And just like Jonah, the Nineveh wasn't destroyed right away, but once the Lord rose up Nahum and a couple other prophets, guess what? It was fulfilled. Same thing happening now. You see? Luke 7 in verse 39. It says, now when let me start verse 36, because I want to make a point, because it's like, we're surrounded by darkness, man, and yes, we're separated and we're holy, set apart, but at the end of the day, the Lord is setting a table in the midst of our enemies. So there's going to be times where you're going to be finding yourself eating and supping with the wicked and enemies and Pharisees and harlots, and you know what I'm saying? It's just going to happen. You can't really get around it, so you have to use wisdom towards them that are without. Luke 7:36, and one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Yahushua sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. And it's heavy because even Yahushua said, which I'll get, he said, and the Lord said in Psalms, to kiss the son lest he be angry. Basically show him your gratitude and that honor and that love, man, at the end of the day. And this is what Yahushua said. Luke 7, verse... Now I'm just going to jump a little bit further. Luke 7 and verse... Matter of fact, let me just keep reading down. Verse 39. It says, now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, right, thinking in his mind, which Yahushua knew the hearts of men already, what they was thinking. Didn't have to say anything. Says, this man, if he were a prophet, right, if he were a prophet, he is the prophet, capital P. See how wicked our people are, and the Pharisees? Says, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. You see? But by this sinner, right, coming humbly and touching Yahushua, not on some like demonic shit, but on some like, she just wants to do good and hopefully, get some of that vibration. She was healed. She was healed, man. She was forgiven. And then Yahushua made the parable of the two debtors. Everyone's in debt to the Lord. Everyone owes the Lord their life. See, verse 40. And Yahushua answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he said, Master, say on. So he put Peter, right, Simon on game of what was going on. There were a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. So the men, right, those that have been forgiven of so much, right, they've been through so much hell, they've been through so much pain and sin and being evil and wicked, and they've been forgiven, they're going to love much, they're going to give so much. Says, and he turned to this woman, but those that have been forgiven for little only going to love a little. It says, and he turned to the woman and said unto him, Simon, seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, you see, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. You see, so this woman, she cleaned Yahushua's feet she didn't need anything. She didn't need water or a towel. All she needed was her own tears in her hair. Says, this is point 45. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since that time I came and have not ceased to kiss my feet. And this is a heavy parable, man. 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 21. For he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. So we're the righteousness of God in the Lord. Not of our own selves, but of the Lord. Now, I got that definition, right? I got that definition of elder, right? It's an older person, an ancestor, chief, prince. Also, elder meaning one having authority in the community. You see? So, also goes into let me see. Yeah, that's the point right there. So, who's the ones that didn't come in the authority of the Pharisees and scribes, but those that actually came in the authority of Yahushua was the disciples? You see? They didn't speak as the Pharisees and scribes. They spoke as those that had authority. That's why they came to Yahushua and the prophet saying, who gave you this authority? But it was basically, who allowed you to say this against us or against the city or the temple, you see? So you have to understand, man, a true elder, right, an ancestor, one that has authority, right, is those that's actually in the spirit, and there's only a few left. A lot of guys have fallen, just like Eli. A lot of guys have fallen in the congregation of Korah. You know, a lot of guys have succumbed to the lust of flesh, like the elders in Susanna. And that's just the sad part about this truth, man. With much wisdom and much sorrow. You see? And see, we give them laws to elders, yes. But you have to understand, there's elders that are not as old. They're not as old as you think, if you understand what I'm saying. This is, to back it up, this is John 1:15. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, This was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me. See, younger, right? Born after. Is preferred before me, for he was before me. So you have certain men that are just like Yahushua. They were before certain men. See, Book of Susanna 1:50. Wherefore all the people turn again in haste, and the elders said unto him, Come, sit down among us, and show it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder, one that has authority. You see, one that was before, you see, of ancient, the ancestors, you see, the elect. And that's why, if I could get verse 51, but this is why it says in John, Lord said, I have written unto you fathers, for great is he that is in you than is in the world. You see? James 5:13. And that's why, you have to be very aware, and you have to understand, you have to examine who is really of the Lord. And this is Susanna 1:51. Then said Daniel to them, put these two aside, one far from another, and I will examine them. So the true judges and real ones, they're going to divide things and put things far away from each other and examine situations, examine men to see who's real and who's fake, who's the true witnesses, who the false witnesses, man. James 5:13. Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with the oil in the name of the Lord. But see, the foolish virgins, they have no more oil. They have no more healing. They're not healed. And look, it's saying, Sirach, he that is not good to himself, to whom will he be good to? See? And the prayer of faith shall save the sick. That's going to save you, not being lifted up over some man's shoulder carnally. No, the prayer of faith shall save the sick. And anything's possible to those that believe. And the Lord shall raise him up. And if he had committed sins, they shall be forgiven him. Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So that does a lot, man. You see, the prayer of a poor man's mouth reached the clouds, man, and the judgment comes speedily. All right, that word availeth is to produce or result in as a benefit or advantage. To take advantage of, you see? But you have on the other hand, the left hand now, you have certain elders that they're gonna see like the Spirit and the Lord in you, and rather of helping you draw that out of you, of helping you grow and become the best version of yourself that you can be, they're gonna see you and they're gonna see that you have the possibility of becoming better than them. And they're going to get envious and jealous and hateful and spiteful against you. And then they got to act like they really for you, but really they're not. You see? 1 Samuel 18 and verse 8. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day on and forward. And we go into that word, 1 Samuel 18 and 9. It's heavy because when you get like a different version, it means jealousy. All right, this is 1 Samuel 18 and 9 in the, let's see, Berean Study Bible. Says, and from that day forward, Saul kept a jealous eye on David. You see, and that's what we have going on right now, man. Right now, brothers. Acts 23 and 14. And they came to the chief priests and elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a great curse, that we will eat nothing until we have slain Paul. So you have a lot out there. They put themselves under a great curse. They're doing the work of the Lord deceitfully, and they're cursed, perverting the gospel, because they hate, they envy, they're jealous of those that are in the Spirit growing, man, advancing, getting stronger and built up and building up others, and killing the wicked, man, destroying the wicked. Jeremiah 26 and verse 17 says, then rose up certain of the elders of the land and spake to all the assembly of the people, saying, Micah the Morashathite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah king of Judah, and spake to all the people of Judah, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, Zion shall be plowed like a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of a forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him at all to death? Did he not fear the Lord and besought the Lord? And the Lord repented him of the evil which he had pronounced against them. Thus might we procure great evil against our souls. And there was also a man that prophesied in the name of the Lord, Urijah the son of Shemaiah of Kirjathjearim, who prophesied against this city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. You see, and like the scripture saying, Sirach, there are certain men that are not really like famous, but their deeds shall be remembered. In Ecclesiasticus see? And this is, let me get this as well. Whew, Lamentations 5 and 14. Oh man, we start verse 12. Lamentations 5 and verse 12. Princes are hanged up by their hand. The faces of elders were not honored, rather humiliated. He says, they took the young men to grind, and the children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. You see, you got a lot of our people. Where are they? They're not on the highways and byways. They're in the forest, man, ducking off somewhere. The crown, verse 16, the crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned, you see. So if you don't have Yahushua, and if you're not being healed by the word, then your sin's going to remain. And it's going to be realized, man, by those that are in the spirit that can see. Galatians 6 and 1, brethren, if man be overtaken in a fault, verse 5 says, for let me see, hold on. 2. It's like Galatians 6 and 2. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Yahushua, right? So just as Yahushua, he put on others' sicknesses, right? We're doing the same thing. But see, the thing with the elders and chief priests and all these scribes and stuff like that, they was like, oh, ew, don't touch me. They was in that spirit. But the thing is with the elect and Yahushua is that they was actually going into the people that were sick and looked scary and lame and blind and dumb and had autism and lepers and all this, and they was allowing them to touch them. They was touching them. They was helping them. They was visiting the sick, you see? And that goes into Matthew 25. Romans 15 and 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. For even as Yahushua pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproach of them that reproached thee fell on me. Now that's all falling on us. See, and we're basically carrying the burden. We're carrying our crosses daily, keeping that light torched and shining. You see, so Lil Winnie was edified, and I'm gonna close out. Gotta get out and get back in. All praises, glory, honor, and faith. Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakwadash. Demise and destruction all you anti-Yahushais and all you fake elders, man, and Pharisees and scribes. And I'm gonna close off with this precept. Which guys never bring out. But that's where we come in. We come in to actually fill in the void. Mark 8 and 31. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders. The fake ones, man. The ones that didn't have the authority of the Lord, but the authority of Rome and of Esau and of this world. It says, and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. We're in the time of that third day, Yahushua rising with us. See? And with that, shalom.